so far for everyone? Good. Some useful stuff? We're trying our best to help you, but at the end of the day, I think it is your decision to take action or not. These resources are there, but it is not much of a use if you don't take action and do it. Okay, I think the second part of my presentation gets involved to the details of serving your clients. I think it is very crucial portion of the presentation because we are not talking in general now. We are going specifically to a step-by-step guidance of how to handle clients, whether it is buyer or seller. So we will start, and if there is no questions, any questions, or we can go right in. We're good? Okay. Okay, so what we have discussed so far in the morning before lunch is our ultimate goal is to keep our clients satisfied, and that's how we can build business. And we also understand that the relationship with a buyer and seller starts at the beginning of the transaction. When they call you and they say, I want to sell my house, or I'm thinking of buying a house, so how to handle them? Of course, we will give examples of some of the traditional, typical agents that handle clients, and then we will also discuss about maybe a better way of handling so that you can build that relationship that you need so that you have a referral system in place. And our goal is, in this room, to try to convince you to have a more comfortable life after 3 to 5 years. And for a lack of better word, I use the word retirement. I don't mean that you will absolutely retire, but what I mean is that you will establish your business so that you're not chasing, you're not prospecting a lot, you're just sitting down and people will approach you to do business. Trust me, it is possible if you build the business. So real estate is not just sales, it is a business. You have to look at it like a business. You have to look at it that you want to retire in 3 to 5 years. I use that range of 3 to 5 years because it depends on so many variables. It depends how much commitment you gave, your personality, your circle of influence, and all that. But it will take that long to build the system. So you will reach at a point that 90% of your business will come comfortably from the people that you have served. So that is the ultimate goal. So here, you know, the world of real estate starts with if this phone call is not made, we will not be in business. And this phone call comes from a seller, or in a better way, if I put it, from the owner of a property. If they do not make this call or this communication, none of us will be in the business because they will put this property on MLS, and then we have the opportunity to show them to our potential clients. So whether we are on the side of selling or buying, at the end of the day, that is where we serve, right? So the first step in real estate is this call. Someone will call you. Now, this person could be a total stranger. They saw your name somewhere. But the system that we are working on right now, ideally, these are your referrals. People that have referred you, your circle of influence. So they said, you know what? I'm thinking of selling my house. I would like to know how much it is worth. You know, your friend and our mutual friend, Joe, gave me your number. When do you have a time to come and tell me what to do and how much my home is worth, right? So this is the call that's made. Now, with this call, agents handle it in 2 different ways. One is that they will say, you know what, I'm home right now, I'm in my basement, I was watching hockey, I have nothing to do, can I come right now to list the property? The guy or the girl or the owner of the property might say, yes, you can come over, but in their mind they will say, I will never give my listing to you. They have already made up the decision not to give it to you because you sound so desperate, you sound so not professional, but more importantly, you have not prepared them mentally. Sales is a process. If the other side is not mentally prepared to receive you, the chances of you getting the listing is very, very, very low. So because they will not feel confident in you. So the process is 2 parts. the listing is a two-part process. The first part, what we call is listing preparation. So this is not listing presentation. Presentation is when you're right in front of the seller, the owner of the property, and you present. So that is a different process. We will talk about it. This is the one that you're mentally preparing yourself and your client for this presentation. So this is before the presentation. This is preparing for the presentation. And these are the steps. It's a three-step process. Now, I want you to not be confused. These three steps is not for presentation. This is for preparation of the presentation. Okay, is it clear for everyone? So the first step is that if someone calls you, you try your best, if it's a working day, to drop a package before 5 o'clock the day they call you. So let's assume they call you today. And well, today is Saturday, it doesn't apply, but if it was a working day. But if it is a Saturday too, you can apply the same thing, but usually I'm talking most people calling on a working day. So if they call you today or even on a weekend, you take the information. The first step is to drop the package, and I will tell you how to prepare the package, but basically it is this package. So you should have at least a few pre-printed of these. It doesn't cost a lot. It costs a couple of dollars to print them. So this is your own package. It shows this is your package. It shows this is your material. This will go inside an envelope with some of the other things, which I will tell you what it will go inside it. So you should have this package. And there are so many advantages to this package. We have made, this is a little bit older version. The new version has new pictures and more pictures. But basically, it shows that you're not alone. You're part of a team. You're part of a business. You're part of a system. You have a location. So this is not a one-man show. And it gives details of what you do, what you're going to do. And this is very generic. So this applies to all of you. Of course, if, as Mahmoud was saying, if you want to make changes, you're more than welcome. But the least you should do is change the picture, change the name. And the bio here is very generic. You can use it. But if you want to write your own, you're more than welcome. So have this ready with you, because if they call today, you're going to use this today. You're not going to knock on the door. You're not going to meet them. You're simply going and dropping in their mailbox if they don't have a mailbox at the back of their door. So this is just a delivery of the material. Is that clear? So that's the first step. So this was a working day. They called you at around, let's say, noontime, and then you dropped it at around 4 o'clock because you had to prepare some of the material. So at 4 o'clock, you dropped at their home. Of course, it will be hard if you're in Richmond Hill and this listing is in Mississauga. So I'm considering that you're within a reasonable proximity to deliver on the same day. But if you can't, then don't take the appointment the next day. Take a couple of days later. At the end of the day, you have to do this. You have to drop the package before meeting them in person. The main reason that you're dropping the package, because the listing presentation, as we will come to, is not about you. It is about their property and how much they can get. Okay, because if you make the listing presentation about you, that is what typically most agents do, and people don't care. They care how much they receive. So you want to prepare them mentally with this, because this says what you do and who you are and the list of things that you will do, which most people do, right? You don't want to waste your time doing this at the time of presentation. That's why we are doing it beforehand, okay? So after you drop, which is before 5, this should be before. This is a typo. This is before. And then after that you have dropped, they have, let's say, come home. They looked at your package. They didn't read it. We know that they don't read it. So you will call to pre-qualify. If you don't call back, and if you simply go to, the next day, you will not understand their needs properly. You will be in the dark, and they will not feel confident in you. Just think about it this. If you're selling your own house, if you call someone and they come right away, don't you think, why was he available right away? That's number one, right? If they drop the package and if they call you right after you went through the package, don't you feel that this guy must be so busy, he must have so many things to do, he just wants to make sure that I am selling, right? He doesn't want to waste his time. And that is the image that you want to build. And this will help you. You're simply calling, and we will tell you what you will say. And then the third step is that you have to prepare some of the tools, which is coming up. So I think I've already been through this package, the first step. This is the package. One of the things that you can insert inside this is the monthly trip reports. It is in PDF format. You can easily download it. You can easily print it. If you don't have this, then you can find any article just to insert. And I will come with some of the other things that you can insert. But basically, this package sells the brokerage, looks that you're part of a bigger picture, you're not alone. And then some of the material that you have in the past, please keep a copy of them or few copies so that you can use it at this time. If you had a newsletter, if you don't, then use one of the office's newsletter, which you have, right? Samples. Or you can use some of the past marketing material inside this. Traditionally, agents used to take this at the time of presentation, but that's such a big waste because you spend a lot of time trying to convince them for this that you don't get to the actual important point, which is the price of the house, the value of the house, and how much you can get them, right? Because that is the main goal of the owner of the property. They want to get the highest price. They don't care about all this. So you want to do this before going there. If you don't have some of this, then you might want to prepare one for them. So don't book the appointment the next day. Take a couple of days to book the appointment so that you can show what you can do for them. But the more material you have inside that package, the better it is. So this package with those inserts inside it, it goes in an envelope of this size. At the back of it, it will say attention and then the name of the owner or owners. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It will be just in their Dropbox. You did not meet them as if somebody delivered, so that they have the opportunity to go through this material. So when you call them, the first step was dropping the package. The second step is to call them. You call at around sometime between 6:30, not before, because people arrive at around 5:36. They're tired. They don't want to be bothered right away. So sometime after 6:30 up to maximum 8:30. Do not call people's houses after 8:30, even if it is summer and if still it is sunny, because people sometimes have kids. Kids sleep after 8 o'clock at some homes. They don't want to be bothered. So the ideal time is 6:30 to 7:30, but latest 8:30, not before, because people are not home or they're too tired. They want to have some relaxed time. So you're simply calling and asking some of the basic questions. So yeah, I dropped the package. Did you receive it? And then how long have you lived at this address? Where you're thinking of moving? And I think the most important one is the last one, that who else owns the house? Although we know who owns, which I can show you where to get who the owners of the property is. Before it used to be land registry system, and now it is public info or public line. Public records, there you go, yes. So the new system, you still can get the name of the owner. You know, but you want to ask. Because while you're asking this, you don't want just one of the spouses to call you and say, come and list my house, and the other one doesn't know about it. And then you're in conflict, they don't like you, you will not get the listing. So you want to ask, when they say, oh, my husband and I, we are both on title, then you have to say, so you're both going to be there tomorrow, right? So this is a very important question, and this is the reason we are calling them. You don't want to go there, because if you go, come out, don't get the listing agreement signed, the chances of you getting that listing is very hard, very hard. So you want to make them fully prepared before you go there. That's why if you jump in your car, you don't know who is there. Maybe just the wife or just the husband called you to sell the house, and they want to get an idea, so you will lose your chances of getting the listing, okay? Okay, so I think you can come up with your own questions. The other important question is this last question here, because you will prepare a CMA, which is comparative market analysis, which means how you're trying to find out how much is their home worth, right? If they bought 5 years ago and the basement was not finished, 5 years later they have finished the basement, you want to know if it is finished or not, because you will evaluate the property accordingly, Okay? And you say, when I meet you tomorrow, I would like to request you to have these documents ready for me. Survey, which most people have, but not all. Some people may not have it. Survey is basically, it shows the boundaries of their lot, right, which most houses should have. Property taxes, because if you have to fill the most recent property taxes on the form that you take with you, the trip form. Balance of the mortgage is important, but it becomes more important when the market is in downside, because sometimes they owe 500,000 and the property is worth 450. There is no room for you to have your commission there, right? So, but that is not the case right now, but if the time comes, that will become more important. And layout of the builder, because this will have the sizes of the rooms. It will help you a lot. These are the sizes that are measured by the builder. Although you are required to verify every measurement. As an agent, you have to have the tool. As part of the tool, we will come. Each room that you list on MLS, whether it was listed previously or it is a layout from the builder, you as an agent is required to verify it. By verify means you have to remeasure again. Okay? So the first step was to drop the package, call. The third one is that you have to prepare these things. So you have to have a clipboard, because I will let you know where you will use it. You will use it at the time of listing presentation. You have to have a calculator, because they might ask you some questions that if I sell my house and if I gave you commission, if I pay my mortgage penalty, how much will I get at the end of the day? That's how much that I need 20,000 because I will use it for my son's wedding, for example. Will I get 20,000 from this property? So you have to have a calculator to do simple calculations. Simple calculator. The seller's net sheet, that is what it is for. It's basically a form that says this is your sales price, and it's a one sheet, and then mortgage balance, mortgage penalty, commission, and this is how much you will receive. You can do it manually or you can use that form. It's all up to you.
Also about the land transfer taxes and all that stuff.
But this is selling.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were not here before the lunch, that's why you're missing some of the points.
I've seen the whole buyer's aspect.
Okay, so yeah, you also have to have, I want to emphasize, filled listing agreement. You do not want to fill the listing agreement in front of client, because the most common thing they will tell you is, you know what, this is taking too long, why don't you fill it and come back? And once you're out of their home, the chances of them calling you and saying that, don't worry about it, we changed our mind, is very, very high. Okay? So filled listing agreement, you fill it before you go. That's why I say prepare. Don't jump in your car and go right away, because the chances of getting that listing will go significantly down. One of the things that I believe, if you're going to spend money on advertisement, is those magnets, you know, that you put on fridge, or about some basically permanent long-term advertisement. If you're going to spend, it's not very expensive. If you have it, it's impressive with your business card, and they sell it everywhere. I think, including Business Depot, I believe they sell those calendars, right? Which is not very expensive. On average, it will cost you less than $1. So you're just going to give it to those sellers when you leave, so they have your contact information. Okay, measurement tools. There are few that are available at Home Depot and other places. One of them, I think, is called laser technology. Basically, you stand at the end of this wall, and then there is this equipment that you press a button, and it measures from that wall to this wall. I use that one. Sometimes it's not very effective because things come in between, and it shows error. It doesn't work properly. There is one that you can manually walk with. There is one that is a measuring tape. For that one, you have to have another person hold the tape, so it is harder. The ideal one is the one that is manual and you can walk with, and you can get all these different measuring tapes, measuring tools in Home Depot and maybe Canadian Tire and other places. So, but you have to have that. And CMA. So CMA, Mahmoud showed you, you have to do your own research, and then the numbers you just have to fill. That CMA that he showed you, it will not automatically create evaluation for you. you have to do the due diligence. That is just a way of presenting it, which is about 12 pages, and we will tell you where you can use it. So these are the things that you have to do. So the 3 steps of preparing is dropping package, calling, and then preparing the tools. Is everyone on board? So about the CMA, when you're preparing your CMA, location is the most important aspect of evaluating a property. Okay, more than anything else. So try to find as much as possible closest to the property. If it is on the same street, it is even ideal. If it is on the same side of the house, it is even better. Because sometimes a property on one side and the other side might have differences in price. It could be one is backing on the ravine and the other one is backing on the people's lot. So that's why not only on the same street, but even ideally on the same side of a street, right? So location is the most important factor. And then after location, you guys must have heard location, location, location 3 times. There is a reason that they repeat it 3 times. It means from this list, if you just delete these 2, it should be location, 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 and then the 4th one is something else. That is the meaning of repeating it 3 times. So location matters in the finding out the value of a property 3 times, and then the 3 top reasons to evaluate a property, and then the 4th is something else. So location, and then size of the property. Let's say if you're evaluating, try to find the same size, same style, and same condition, as close as possible. But I'm sure you guys have learned in school for adjustments if there is price. So for example, one has different size, or one has 2 kitchens and the other one has 1, or more or less washrooms, then you do adjustments. So those are the things, as I said at the beginning, I'm not going to go through because those things you have learned in school. But if you have questions, you can come back later. But this is what matters. So ideally, you will have 2 bunch of those listings. One 3 months and the other one 18 months. Why that much of a difference in those 2 type of 2 different categories? The 3 months is you will have 2 type of clients. Some of them, if you give them a 3-month report that for the past 3 months, because the realistic value of property is reflected in the past 3 months. Anything longer than 3 months is too old. 6 months is maximum. Anything longer than 6 months is too much in history. You cannot count too much on that value, right? So ideally 3 months, maximum 6 months. Well, ideally if it is within even the same month or same week is even better. But longer than 3 months is a little bit iffy if you can count on that evaluation. So, but why will you have 3 months and 18 months? Because when you go to a property listing, the owner of the property might say, you know what, a couple of months ago a property just sold across our house. Do you know how much it was sold? He thinks it was a couple of months, but in reality it was maybe 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, right? So you want to go back as far as possible because they can ask you questions and you don't want to be embarrassed. You want to seem that you're on top of the properties sold in their area. If they don't have that confidence in you, and if you just say, I don't know, then you have shattered your confidence and you have lost your confidence in, they will have lost their confidence in you. So that's why you should have 3 months and 18 months. And of course, for sure, visit the properties that are in the market right now. So let's say if you're meeting them today at 5 o'clock, leave a couple of hours, book appointments, it's called inspection appointments or viewing appointments. So you go to the surrounding properties to get a gist of the feeling of type of properties sold and for what price. And that's very important. So you understand who your competition is, right? Who you're competing against. You will be very confident if you visit the existing properties, the ones that are currently in the market. If you don't go, then you will not be as confident because you know the guy is asking 500 and that's the price, right? So when you go to the listing presentation, you will be more confident. So for sure, go to visit those properties before you go for listing presentation. Yeah, so if you don't have answer to if they ask you how much that property was sold and you don't know about it, your confidence will go low. Well, there is this form which is mainly for appraisals. It is for URIA, but you can look at it. This will give you an idea to prepare your CMA, but this is very detailed report. It is used, well, it is prepared by for appraisals. I don't know if it is used by appraisals, but you don't want to use this, but it will give you an idea for your CMA package. So these are the adjustments, just an example, right? If there is a kitchen, or I'm sure one of your exam questions must have been about this. 12 years ago, every exam had this question in it, so I'm sure you guys must have had it too, so you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so who the owner of the property is, you can get it from here. When you log in, to the left side, there is public records. And then you have to press PAN. Well, of course, the address of the property. On the right corner, there is an icon called PAN, P-A-N. And that is the impact assessment. On the impact assessment, it tells you how much the property is worth, how much it is assessed by impact, which will also be another tool. But it will also tell you who the owner of the property is. Okay? It is, yeah, it is allowed up to 10 searches. I think it is per month or per day. Per day, yes, it's a 10, so it is quite a lot, 10 per day. It's free. Maybe you have gone to some other section, but basically you click on this, it will bring you to another screen. You type the address of the property, public records. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I know. It used to be with land registry system. So with the land registry, when you typed in the address, it will bring up the land title, which is who is on the title of the property. With this one, you can still find who the owner is, but you have to take 2 steps. So you have to search the public records, but then on the right corner somewhere here, there are 3 icons, square icons. I think it is the last one, but anyways, it's called PAN, P-A-N. You click on it, and then it will ask you, do you accept they have some policy? Because you cannot use, these are privacy issues. You cannot use people's name for other purposes other than evaluating a home. That's the whole point. And that's why they're restricting it. And you have to agree and accept the terms that mainly that you're using this for the purpose of evaluating someone's property. If you're using it for some other purposes, you're not supposed to use it. So you cannot use it for the purpose of marketing or approaching people and prospecting and things like that. Yes?
When you go into the public record, it will ask you for the address of the property. Once you type in the address, then it will give you full image.
Yeah, I know it gives you the information about the property except the name.
The name.
Yeah.
It will give you the name if you go on the plan or the
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah, that's right.
But the first page does
It doesn't, no, so not the first. Yeah, yes, the PAN is on the same page. On the right corner, there is a square here. There are 3 squares, one of them is called PAN. Sure. If you're stuck, then let me know. Okay, so this is an additional tool that you can find out. So I think the bottom line is that you have to price it that you feel confident, okay? Like if you say this property is worth 500,000, you should have had enough due diligence, enough search done to be convinced that that is the price, okay? You might say 500 and then you go for a visit in the area and you find out it's different. You can change your mind, of course. You can say it's 550. But at home or at office, when you're doing your searches, you should go as much as possible to feel confident that how much that property can be evaluated. So far, we are in the first part of the listing presentation, which is just preparing for the listing. Before I go to the next section, which is actually going to people's house and listing what we have searched, is there any question? We are good?
So I have a question. You said we have to prepare the seller's net sheet and field listing agreement. So we have to find the names through this
Yeah,
thing and fill it out.
that's right. Yeah,
before-
that's right. Yes, and sometimes if you just get their listing agreement, because you know you're taking with you two documents, which we will come to, right? There is listing agreement and there is the data agreement. The listing agreement is between the seller and the brokerage and for how long and how much commission, which is 2 or 3 pages. Then there is something else called data agreement, which is the details of the property. You may not necessarily have all the information of the data agreement. If you just get the listing agreement, that is good enough. They are your client. You can come back and do the data agreement later if you don't have all the information. For the listing agreement, you don't need anything except the name. And even if you don't have the name, when you go there, ask them and they will give it to you, right? So,
Because eventually it might take a long time and they might say, oh, this is long, but just adding the name.
no, what I meant long time it takes is the MLS data form. It's like it asks you a lot of details about the property. It's 2 different forms. We will come to it.
You're saying just focus on the listing.
If you don't have, but ideally you want to take a complete package, make them sign, get rid of it, and just come and work on it to sell it. Yes. Okay, so the second part of presentation, these are some of the basic things you have to do one time. Buy a good bag. I don't think the Oria bag is the best one. You can buy something professional, but you can of course use that one too. You should have, I mean, reasonable car, if at least be clean, because people judge on these things as we discussed in the morning. It's about the image, right? So you want to have some of the basic things that people look at you, and when you talk to people, when you're, you know, in people's houses, and well, whether you agree with it or not, this is reality of life. So when you're going and stepping into people's houses, remember that it is not about what you have prepared, it is how you say it, because most of the things are visual. I mean, 7% is what you have prepared. The rest is, you know, your communication skills. If you look eye to eye, how you behave. So it is really not what you have prepared, it is how you have prepared. How you're going to present it. Okay, so let me walk you through step by step, because this is one of the hardest things that most people face a challenge. So you ring the bell, you walk into people's houses. One of the first things you will say is that, do I have your permission to go around the house? I just want to get an idea for myself, and that's where that clipboard I was talking about. You should have that clipboard with a pen. So as you're walking around the house, you're going to write notes. Those notes could be that, you know, the walls need painting, or also it could be that on the listing it said this is carpet on the 2nd floor, but then they have changed it to hardwood floor. So then you take a note that it is hardwood floor now, it was carpet 5 years ago. So as you walk through the house, you will take notes, and this will impress them, because they will think that you're working. The way they look at it, that the way they will receive you, that you are assuming that you will list the property. That's why you're here. So there is no if or but. About it. You walked into the house, they have called you, and you want to list the property. Okay, so that's how you're going to treat it. If you're hesitant, then they will be also hesitant to give you. Right? You're acting as if they have called you. You're a busy person. You're professional. And they have called you, and that's why you're there, and you're going to list it. And you're going to do everything to list the property, including taking measurements. Maybe I have not written here. So, oh yeah, actually at the top I have written. So as you go through the houses, whatever tool you have, verify those measurements. It will take time. That's why I said deliver this package, because we don't have the time to talk about this package. Right? Traditionally, that's what most agents do. Okay, so I mean, I personally didn't feel comfortable sitting in the couch. Couch is more of a relaxed and professional, and I think it is much better to be in the kitchen or somewhere, a table similar to that. In the kitchen area, you have both, usually it is husband and wife, you talk to them. So the way you're going to treat it is that you're an advisor, you're a consultant, you're not a salesperson. They have called you, you're a professional. You're just trying to advise them on what they have to do next. So if you, which traditionally and typically most agents do, as soon as they come to the kitchen table, they say, I am the best looking guy, I'm number one, and they talk about themselves. At the end of the day, they say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Next, I'm waiting to tell me how much my property is worth, right? So you don't want to go through that, and again, that's why we are dropping this beforehand. If you want to say that you're the best looking person, say it here. Because we will not go and say it here. As soon as you say that I'm number one and I'm good, they will try to find some weakness in you. That is very natural. That is the nature of every human being. As soon as you say that I'm perfect and I have no problems, in the whole presentation, they will try to find something that is not good about you, and they will want to pinpoint. So you don't want to create that kind of environment. Yeah. So as soon as you say that everything is great about me, they will try to look for a reason that you're not.
Who says that? Who walks in and says, I'm the best looking?
Well, looking was just exaggeration.
Who does that?
Well, a lot of agents walk in and say, I'm number one, and I have sold most of the houses. They talk about, and even in their advertisement, they say, I'm number one, and I'm the...
This is, your say. I'm talking about walking to a client and
Still, you say the same thing. You start your presentation saying that you should hire me because I'm the best. That's how traditionally and typically most agents do. So, sorry? Huh? Okay, so what we are going to do is not talk about ourselves. If you're listening more, if they are talking, it means you're successful in your presentation. If you're not talking and they are talking, you have achieved what you want to do. If you're talking and they are listening, then you're not on the right track. That is I think that's ultimately what I want to say. If you're talking about yourself or your brokerage or what you can do and what you're going to do, if it is you occupying the whole space, then you're not on the right track. It has to be them talking. So I think for that to happen, you have to shift your mind, which means instead of going as a salesperson, you're genuinely going in to help these people. That's it, as an advisor, as a consultant. Everything is in our head. If that head shifts, and if you think about things differently, you will be perceived differently. If you go to get the listing and that is the only thing that you're worried, they will see you like that. If you go just to go and help them and sell the house and be an advisor, it is all in your mindset. It is all, what you think about when you knock at that door, and that matters a lot. And the way you think, they will perceive you accordingly. And if you do come across as a salesperson, you will be always disconnected with them. It will not be genuine. So you want them to be a partner with them in selling their property. But there are two issues here. And these are the two most common objections that come up in most listings. It is the commission and it is the value of the home. This is the most two common objections. You think the property is worth $500,000, they think it is $550,000. Or as one of the guys that was here in the morning, you want to list it for 5% and they want to list it for less than that, and they want to negotiate. And as I said, if they receive everything else equal, then of course the issue of commission comes up. But I think how to handle commission, the issue of commission and how much they pay, there are different ways to handle it. One of the best ways that I think, which I come up with, is to handle it just up front. Because if they ask you, you just say, this is my commission, and move on. Do you negotiate? Do you make it less? No, and you move on. Because as soon as you negotiate on your commission, they will think you're not strong. You cannot protect them. You cannot protect their interest. They will not be in good hands because you cannot protect your own commission. But then I presented this, and some of you may not feel comfortable in that method. So there is another way that you can handle it, and which I have come up with, which is this. So one of the things that people appreciate is to give them 3 types of packages. Now, I want to insist on the number 3. It cannot be 5 packages because people get confused. It cannot be 4 packages, still they're confused. 3 is something that people have like this an option, and they choose something, one of them, right? Now, this is just to give you an idea, but I think, as I said, you can handle commission. One is that I don't negotiate and that's it. The other way is that you can create 3 types of packages. Now, this is something that every agent does, which is for sale sign and on MLS and feature sheet, which you're supposed to do, right? But maybe you can come up with a creative way to make it more enticing, and one of them could be that you partner with a home staging company and say, if you list with me, I will clean up your place and I will stage it, for example, right? Oh, sorry, this is just for staging. And then if there is another package that I will clean up, by cleaning up doesn't mean that you will make a new kitchen for them. It is just a cosmetic renovation to make the property more presentable, because people are too busy, people have things to do in their life, and you're helping them, you know someone, and you will put it as part of the package. Now, what type of understanding, or if this is the ultimate idea, not necessarily, but this is just to give you that you can also create packages if you're not comfortable with handling the commission. Are you guys following me? So there is one way to say, my commission is 6% and I don't negotiate, so you move on. There is another way that my commission is 6%, but I also have other packages, so which one you want to select. But whatever number you give, whether it is 6% or 1%, I don't care, but do not negotiate from that number, because then they will lose confidence in you. It is not about how much you say. As soon as you negotiate, of course there are exceptions. For example, if you buy and sell for the same person, then you can say, I will do something for you, right? So that is if you're giving them away because they're giving you more business. But if you say a number and then you charge them half of it at the end of the session because they have pushed you, they will not give you the listing. I'm saying it confidently because they will not feel confident in you. Okay, so by you reducing, if you're that type of a person that you will give up, then you should come up with packages. You said then they will choose whichever they want. But again, should not be more than 3. It is confusing. It has to be 3, not more, not less. Good? Yes?
If you're doing the cosmetic renovation, does that come out of your pocket, or just the client?
Well, first of all, this is just to give you an idea. But let's say if you go with this idea, the way you might work, and again, this is a level of commitment from you to make your career successful. So you find a guy that you feel comfortable with and confident that this, because it's not easy to find a good renovation company or a guy. So you come up with an understanding and you say, you know what, wherever I have a listing, and if they give me the opportunity of this package, you have to come up and do the renovation for that, or cosmetic renovation to make it look good. And some people even include, as part of renovation, is cleaning carpet and cleaning clutter, basically making it presentable. And then you say, I have a budget based on the price of the house. So your budget could be, if it is 500,000, then it is 1,000 or 2,000. It depends. It could be percentage of the price of the property. And then the way this should work is that these people, you have 2 types of relationship. Either you know them, and you know that they're going to sell with you no matter what, then you can, if that is the type of relationship, then as a business you're taking a risk. But if you don't want to take a risk, alternatively you can come to an understanding that you have to pay these guys, but then at the end I will adjust at the time of closing. So it is up to you. It depends on the type of relationship you have with the client. Okay? So yes, I think it boils down that go with a mindset that you're not selling something, you're just consulting. There is a huge difference. I don't know how to elaborate and express this, what I'm thinking, that there is a difference in mindset that you go into their home. If you're constantly thinking of selling, they will see it. If you're just there genuinely to help them, that's different. So the first issue was the fees or the commission, and the second issue is the value of their home. This is also something most of the time that people don't agree with you, right? So the value of the home is the second issue. So how do you handle this? And here is how you do it, and I will walk you step by step. So the CMA that you prepared, remember the CMA that you can download online and Mahmoud showed you, right? The CMA you prepared, you just don't give your the CMA to them, because in the CMA it says that based on your professional opinion, the property is worth X amount. You don't want to disclose that amount to them yet. It is in your bag. Remember, we are carrying a bag, and all this stuff is in our bag. So what you're going to give them as soon as you sit in the kitchen table is listings for the past 3 months. Simple listings, right? Nothing else. The listings that you prepared, it should be at least 3. Can be more, not too many, but at least 3. So let them to come to their own conclusion, because no matter what number you give them, most of them, they will not agree with you. So you want them to come to their own conclusion. Are you guys following me? Because if you give them the listing, this will be their face when they see at that listing. Oh, I thought it was like 1 million, but now the way properties are selling around me, it is maybe I can ask maximum 900,000 or 800,000. That's a huge difference. Because every owner thinks that their property is worth a lot more than the market value. So you want them to come to their own conclusion, right? So the first step is to just give them listings, maybe 3 for the past 3 months. But the 18 months is on you, just in case if they ask, oh, you know what, how much, there was a property sold in that corner of our street. Do you know how much that one was sold for? So you want to have that information on hand right away, and you say, let me check it. Or maybe you should, if it is not too many, you should remember it, right? I mean, if you want to be professional and you build more confidence, you should remember those prices that were sold. Yes, so the chances are that if they look at those numbers, they will come to their own conclusion. And most often they do, to the right conclusion. But if they don't, then this is that copy of CMA that you will. Okay. Yeah. So if they don't come with their conclusion, remember before this slide there was CMA. So this is the point that you will give them your CMA. So for example, you think their property is worth 500. After you give them those 3 listings or 5 listings, they say, yeah, my property is worth around 500. Your job is very simple. You still give them the CMA and say, I have done my research. You're right. This is how much it is worth. Or they might come back and say, you know, this doesn't make sense. My property is worth 600,000. And then you give your CMA and say, I have done my research. I have spent the whole day yesterday when you called me, and this is what I found. This property is worth 500. Now, still they say, you know what, which is most people say, why don't we try 550? And if we don't sell it, we will come back and reduce the price. This is the most common statement most owners make, right? And then you bring up this, which should be printed. You have to have this, because this is a very effective way of convincing them to list it at the right price. If we list 550, do you see this 10% higher than market? Because it is 500, the difference between 5 and 550 is 10%. If we list 10% higher than the market price, we will lose 30% of clients. Sorry, 30% of people will see the property. Are you guys following me? Yeah. So let's say if there were 10 people looking for this type of property, if we listed at 550, only 3 of them will see. So forget about us reducing later. We have lost most of them. They are not going to come to look at the property anyways. So this you should have it with you. And there is another one not as effective, but it's still, this shows that most of the activities is in the first month. The first 4 weeks is the highest activity. Once the property sits in the market for a long time, it has some reputation or something that attached to this property that people don't show it. They said that if this was very attractive, it should have been sold by now. So agents don't show it. They don't want to waste their time. They lose that opportunity. The first 2 weeks or maximum 4 weeks is the most activity a property can have. Once it says days on market, 45 days, agent looking at it, he says, oh, you know what, I don't want to take a risk to show it to my client. Okay?
Where did you get those that slide that was before this?
This slide, you can get it on homelife.ca. It's a PowerPoint presentation. If you don't have the access, then you can ask Nilo or one of the front staff. But it's a whole PowerPoint presentation, and that's one of the slides. So another thing I want you to remind you, when we are evaluating a property, if you really want to sell it, it has to be below market. It has to be listed below market. Okay? Let's say if you think this property is worth 500, you want to sell it. You want to list it at 490. If you list it at 500, then people have multiple choices. The chances of them selecting yours is there, but it is not very high. So if the owners really want to sell the property, if they're really serious about it, if they're really motivated, it has to be listed a little bit below market value. Very crucial, a little bit below if you want to sell it. If you're like everyone else, then they have a lot of choices. So when you come to a conclusion, your suggested listing price should be a little bit below market value. So let's say my number, which I like, if let's say something is 600, I will list it for 5888, which is like 12,000 less, but it looks different. But if you think that you can get the listing, you know, this is the strategy that some agents have. They say, you know what, let me get the listing, and then I will try to adjust the price. Believe me, it's stress. The clients are not happy with you. You are not able to sell the property. It costed you the sign, the post, the brochures, the feature sheet, and the chances of you selling is very low. Even in this hot market, that Toronto is very hot, half of the properties that come in the market, they get terminated or expired and they don't sell. And the main reason is either price or the condition of the property. So you think that 100% of properties, because it's very hot, of course some neighborhoods are very hot no matter what a property sells, but we are talking about average Toronto area. More than half, the ratio right now is 44%. More than half of the properties do not get sold, and you don't want to get a listing. And these are the type of agents. They just take the listing and it expires, and then the owners move on to someone else and list with someone else and sells with someone else. They think you could not sell it. So don't take a listing if it is too high than the market value. Okay, so having said that, if the property is priced right, if it is presenting well, you don't have to do anything else. It will sell itself. MLS system is so well organized that once you have a good property, good price, and some good pictures are taken, that's it, it will sell. All these things that agents promise, such as I will advertise on marketing, on magazines, or I will advertise online, I will do open houses for you, those are all good things, but they usually do not sell a property. A property is sold by its price and condition, and MLS does it for you. So these huge amounts of membership that you give to TREB, they do an amazing job of selling properties when you have listing, because their system is so good, people have access to it. Okay, so once you agree, of course, you sign a listing agreement. So the listing agreement, remember it has two options, exclusive or MLS. MLS is to go on MLS system. Exclusive is that you don't want to go on MLS. It is just between you and the owner, between the brokerage and the owner. So it is not listed in the market, right? That's very rare. Exclusive is usually used for commercial properties, not so much in residential. Of course, how much commission you charge, how much you pay to the cooperating commission, how long is it? If it is longer than 6 months, they have to initial. Remember, this is the form that we are talking about. How long is the holdover period? You know what is that? Basically, let's say if it is 90 days, it means if someone came to the property and they didn't buy it, and then within 90 days, if the same clients buy the same property, then you can still get you're supposed to get, of course, you might have to go to court, but whatever. The agreement says that you're supposed to get the commission if it is your client. And you know that the rules changed a few years ago that you have to sign this and give it to them. This agreement has to be signed by you. There is a space that it has to be signed by you first when you give it to them. The other form is this, the MLS data form, which is the details of the property. Some of the information you can get it from builders layout. The taxes are supposed to be, by the way, this data form are different type. There is a condo type, there is a freehold type, there is a commercial type. So it depends what you're listing. You have to use the right type of data form. Measurements is your responsibility. If there is a minor difference, it's not a big deal. But if you listed the lot size is, for example, 50 feet, and you listed the frontage as 100 feet, that's a huge difference. So you might be legally in trouble if the measurements are too far off. If it is more or less same, it is okay. Well, one thing you have to remember, there are 3 remarks in this form. One goes to the client, which goes to the public MLS.ca. The extras, these are the 3 types, right? The brokerage. This one just goes to the brokerage communities, people that have access to the Toronto MLS. So the type of statements that you want to write, emotional, should be in the client. By emotional, I mean, you know, come and enjoy your evening in this beautiful backyard, or it is backing onto ravine and you can have the lifestyle, or it is in downtown Toronto and you can walk down to restaurant. Whatever you're writing that is to their lifestyle, then you write it in this section, because that goes on MLS.ca, which is a public site that everyone has access. If it is something to do with the instruction of the property, it goes in the brokerage. Was there a question? Yeah. Sure, you can. When I said measurement, I didn't mean the land. The land, you have to either find it from the survey or from the impact assessment, and it is something that you and I cannot measure. It's very difficult. When I said measurement, I meant inside the rooms. Not frontage, yes. Okay, so the 2 important factors were price and which we have discussed so far. There are a couple of other factors that play a role. Condition of the property. So the most important part of a house is the frontage. If it looks horrible, people have already made a decision not to buy this property. Inside, it could look the best, but if from outside it looks bad, as soon as they come out of their car, they say, oh, this is not for us. Yes, but we will follow the agent, and we have to because we have bothered him or her. Let's walk around, but we know that we are not going to buy. So they will not buy the property because they have already made the decision if the front doesn't look good. This is one of the best tips you can give to your client. And if it is dirty, if people have kids and things are around, it's not good. So I think the most important issue is in most of the houses that does not sell, other than price, it is the condition of the property. Most people, they want to sell their property as is because they do not trust and feel comfortable dealing with contractors. We all have experienced contractors. It's not easy. Being part of this industry, being part of real estate, you have to try your best to establish a relationship with a good contractor. because that will be a big help for your client. When you go and the condition of the house is not good, you want to suggest that you know somebody that you trust that can fix the problems, okay? So one of the things or one of the homeworks that you should have is that go out and find that, it's not easy, find that contractor. For sure it is not easy. Because that's one of the best advice that you can give. Most of the houses, everything is good. It just needs a fresh paint, or maybe kids played and they were playing hockey in garage and they made a big hole in that door. It's not a big deal, but you have to fix it. It might cost a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand, but that will make a huge difference in the price of the house. Okay, so we were discussing about the staging. Staging plays a role. If you want to partner with an stager, if you're listing a property, it does make a difference, but these are all the options that I want you to be aware of. You know how real estate industry works. As I said at the beginning, you may not implement everything I say, but I can tell you these are the things that work and makes a difference. I think so there was the price of the house that makes a difference, condition of the house. Now in this slide we are talking about access to the house. For example, some people might say, you know what, I have kids and they're sleeping at 8 and I cannot show my house after 8 o'clock. Or some people might say, I always have my in-laws coming in during the weekend and I don't want to show that I'm selling my house, so I cannot show during the weekend. If they come up with these creative ideas, let me tell you, you have to tell them that the more restricted you are, that much your chances of selling the property goes down. Because no matter what property you have, when an agent calls the office and says, I want to see it tomorrow, if you don't show it, you have lost that agent because they move on and they have other options. So accessibility to the house and also them maintaining the house to show well. Mahmoud showed you on that resources that we have a checklist that you can give it to them. That checklist you don't have to do anything. Basically it says you should not smoke, you should not be there at the time of showing, the property should smell good. Whatever culture you're coming, the food might be the best and smell the best, but it is not the best for everyone. So keep the food to yourself, but not at the time of showing the property. So there are some tips that is there that you can print and give it to them when you go and once you list the property. That is the list that I was talking about. So yes, properties can sell as long as you don't have to do much as long as it is listed. By the way, the showing, you have to call the office and let them know what are the instructions. You install the lockbox, and some of this promotion online happens automatically. For example, once it is uploaded, it goes automatically to MLS.ca, and then it goes to HomeLife.ca and other websites that we are affiliated with. So, yes, one thing you have to remember that listing agents make a big deal saying that I sell your property because I advertise it in the magazine. Believe me, that's a perception. 90% of properties are sold by other agents. The agent themselves do not sell the property. That's why I say the MLS system is such an amazing system that it sells, and most of the properties are sold by MLS system. So ideally, a property should be sold within a month. If it is not sold within a month, there is something wrong. Although your minimum number of days that you sign the agreement is 60 days, but ideally you should sell within 30 days, within a month. It has to be priced right, it has to show well, it has to be accessible. Now we understand what do I mean by accessible, right? And one of the most effective ways that you can bring buyers is to take photos. I think there were some stats that I want to share with you that how much pictures make a difference. So they were doing some studies with some houses that had one photo, it took almost 2 months to sell, and the one that had 20 photos, it took half of that to sell the same property, so similar type of property. So pictures make a difference. People want to see the property, but before they want to see where they're getting in. They don't want to go into the dark, so therefore those makes a difference. Once you have the listing, of course, you can do an open house. You can prepare color brochures and feature sheets. And most of these companies that you call for taking pictures, they also do virtual tour. You know what's that, right? And if you have your own website, you can have the link on your website to promote it. I don't believe in too much general advertisement, but one of the things that I believe, and it works, is this, because I have done it myself. Basically, once you list the property, you print it on a just listed postcard, which is already done for you on homelife.ca. You just change this picture and the information on your picture. Or you can prepare one of your own. It's not a big deal. You can go and print this anywhere, including, well, in the past, when I was doing, I'm not doing anymore, 3-4 years ago, you could go to Walmart. I don't know if they still do it. You order online, and then they charge you only 19 cents or something per picture. So 100 of them will cost you about $20. Ideally, you want to distribute this on the same street, saying that I have just listed this property, and some of you might write here that these are the timings for my open house. So this weekend I have open house. You invite them, and once the property got sold, you want to distribute, because there is a chance that you might get leads. I have not discussed anything so far in the entire day outside circle of influence, but this is important. So this is just one thing outside circle of influence that I have discussed for the first time today, that you want to do, that you might get results. So
You need the seller's permission to do that? To put a picture of the house on your advertisement?
when you sign the agreement, I think it's somewhere on the last page, which says, do you allow advertisement? Do you allow online advertisement? So it's all there. One of the things, because of privacy issues, that might create issues, and I'm saying might because I'm not definite, and no one is definite, is that if you disclose the sold price, and if you don't have the permission of the owner, maybe they're not happy. Maybe they don't want people to know about how much their property was sold. So therefore, most people don't say how much it was sold. They say percentage of asking price. For example, they say it was sold for 100% of asking price. So they don't say it was sold for $478. Do you know what? You have already taken the permission. I understand where you're going with that. Well, that's a long discussion of privacy issue. But this, you're simply saying just sold, and it's sold 100% of asking price, or 98%. You don't disclose. As long as you don't disclose the price sold, then you should be okay. But if you disclose, you're right, the buyer might come after you. You say, yes, the seller wanted you to distribute that information, but I bought and I didn't want to know, people to know. Yes, so ultimately it is, you have to be in contact with the people that you have listed their house. Whatever you're doing, at least once a week you have to keep in touch with them. If you abandon them, they think that you have listed the property and disappeared. So any questions? We're good to finish here, or you want me to continue, because there is one small section left for buyers. If you guys are feeling overwhelmed, then we can end it. Do you want me to take a vote, or you want to take a break, or you want to go home? A break? As long as it's 5 minutes, because... Okay. So you'll see in 5 minutes then. Hopefully not longer than 5 minutes. This is a very overwhelming day.
Okay, hold on. Some people might want to leave, so they have to leave. So if you want to continue,
I'm good to continue.
Continue, okay. Okay, so we're quickly going to talk about buyers. So that was about sellers. By the way, I have all this information in one day, because in the past, most of you did not come to different sessions. So I know this is overwhelming, but we wanted to do it in one day, and these are all the basic information that you should know. And I could not skip any of this to make it shorter. But anyhow, so the buyer calls you either because they saw your sign on the lawn of the property, or they saw your ad or referral, whatever the reason might be. And when they call you, I think same way that with the seller it is a process, with the buyer it's also a process. You cannot, if someone says, I want to buy a house in Mississauga, 4 bedrooms, can we come and see today? If you jump in your car and go to show them today that property, the chances of them making you their agent is very low, because they think that you're available, they think that you have nothing much to do, they just called you and you're ready to show them houses. And this was a stranger and they don't know you. So you have to follow some process. The process is that as soon as they call you, you want to get some basic information, such as how much property you're buying, where you're buying, when you're looking to move, some basic questions if they email you or call you. So we are doing that because you want to prepare to meet them. In order to prepare to meet them, you have to do some basic searches. So for example, they tell you, I'm looking for a 500 property, a detached house in Richmond Hill, for example. As soon as they tell you something like that, you will say, you know what, it will be very hard to get a 500,000 detached house in Richmond Hill, except if you consider older homes, like bungalows maybe, or older style 2-story homes in some part of Richmond Hill. Or what I'm trying to say is that you should have this information on you. Or how about, do you want to consider with a 500,000 you might get a newer house in Ajax? Yes, it's a different area. So you're trying to find that, is location important for you, or is the property important for you, so that you can serve them accordingly. You should be acquainted with some basic information of different type of properties, different type of pricing in different areas of Greater Toronto area, right? Because you find the more you find out about them, the more confidently you can serve them. So you're preparing, again, you have not yet met these buyers, you're preparing it, and we have another package called the buyer's package, and this is what it is. And in that package, there is working with realtor that they have to sign. Remember, you were taught this in school. There is something called buyer customer service or buyer representation agreement. So out of these two, one you sign depending how you want to treat them. If they're calling on your own listing and you're selling your own listing, you might be better off treating them like a customer. And I don't have the time to go to the difference between customer and client. Hopefully you guys know by now because it was taught in school. One of the other things that you can include here is the buyer questionnaire. And it is online on homelife.ca/resources. The buyer questionnaire basically walks them through that what type of property they're looking for, and it's a form you can print. Some of the other information, there is this website by the government, cmhc.ca, the resource. There is a lot of these packages for first-time buyers. It is tips for mortgages. There is all kinds of stuff that you can hand over to your client. It is very useful. You can even change your picture, by the way. And they're very much full of information, very useful for all types of clients, and they will be happy if you give it to them. So remember, buying is a process, and we are preparing for it. So the first step is to prepare, and now you call to meet them. Ideally, you want to meet them in the office because you want to impress them, because you want to say that you're part of a bigger picture, because you want to say that you have receptionists, you have boardroom. You want to show that this is your business. Ideally, you want to meet them in the office, not in a coffee place, not outside. Ideally, office will impress them. It's a better place to meet. Of course, if they don't want to, then you have no choice and you can do, but still you have to meet them. So right now we have those 3 locations, and wherever you want to meet them. I will not go through this because there are books written about them, but the reason we want to meet them in person, basically, we want to understand their personality and we want to understand their needs. Each person has different type of personality that I will not get into because it's a long explanation for this slide. But all that you want to know is that you want to react to people's personalities according to how they are and what type of personality they are. That's it. That's all it means, right? Some people are detailed. Some people are just relaxed and they're cool about things. So it depends what type of personality. If you're interested, I think if you just Google this, there is a lot of material about DICS. These are different type of, they have categorized people's personalities into different categories. So you study at your own time. Then you will understand that how sales process works and how different type of personalities exist. So now you're meeting them in person. Remember we had a buyer's questionnaire. Some of the questions that ask in that buyer's questionnaire is, you know, do you own, do you rent? When are you thinking of moving? Remember, we all know that most lease agreements, residential, you have to give them 60 days notice. So generally, I'm talking general, it has, your closing should have 60 days closing. So, sorry, it's at least 60 days closing. One of the things that you can do, which is very helpful and keep clients loyal to you, is work with a mortgage broker. They can get them pre-approved, and the mortgage interest rate can stay guaranteed at that rate for the next 90 days. So for example, if they're pre-approved for 3%, then that rate will, even if the rates increase in the next 90 days, the rate will still be 3% for them. So that is something that they will keep them loyal to you. And this is very simple. They fill a form provided by your mortgage broker. So you can put that form as part of your package. You guys are following? And it's a very effective tool. You can do that. Now, whether to sign a buyer representation agreement, you know, this is the buyer agency agreement, some people call it. This is like listing agreement. The buyer representation agreement is like listing agreement. The difference is listing agreement is required by law. Buyer representation agreement is not required, so it is optional. You guys are on board on that one? So this is an agreement that makes them your client, right? Well, you must have sold properties without signing this. So it is possible to sell it without signing this. But this will keep them, they will be obligated to work with you. Otherwise, if they're not happy, they might ditch you. Even if they have signed this paperwork, they might ditch you, though they can. But at least it's a level of protection. So you start looking for properties for them. By the way, am I going too fast? Or is this speed good? So one of the things that you should do, don't show them crap houses. I made that mistake at the beginning of my career. Buyers think that you know everything about houses and about all the houses in the market. So when you show them bad houses, they think that you don't know what you're doing. You don't have, some of them, they think you don't have access to good houses because you're a new agent. Things like that, people's perception I'm talking, right? So you want to pick the best possible houses, and that's why when agents show houses, they count a lot on those pictures. That's why the houses with pictures sell faster, because agents know this. They don't want to take their clients somewhere that they cannot, they will have this kind of feeling. You know, either it smells bad or looks bad or the carpet is not clean, and they will not be impressed, and you don't want to do that. So you want to do your homework and look for the best houses. Some of the common things I can tell you, never show a house which is backing onto highway, because even if they buy, even if they fall in love with the house, they may blame you later on because of the, if they, as soon as they open their window, they hear the noise of cars coming from highway, they will not be happy about it. So forget about the properties that are close to highway or backing onto highway, and things like, you know, that you can renovate and fix and make money on it. General public, they don't care. They just want to go to a house with no headache and a clean, nice looking house. You might have clients that are investors, that's a different class, but general public, they just want to move to a regular, clean house. So you want to pick those houses. So yes, if you don't pick the right houses, as I said, they think that you're not experienced, or you're not caring, or you're stupid, or you're not informed. They can come up with all kinds of stories if you show them bad houses. And that will damage your credibility. As I said, they will think that you're not competent enough to serve them. And you might lose them. This is one of the most common reasons that agent loses clients on the way. So they want to work with you, they called you, they want you to buy a house for them. You did not show them good houses. They found their ideal house in an open house. They go and buy it and they ditch you. So be careful. If you don't want to have that kind of situation, try to come up. Yes, spend some time. Yes, it will take some time. Try to come up with the best houses in the market. Forget about the crappy ones. Forget the expensive ones. It's not your obligation to sell them. It's not your listing. Your obligation is to buy the best house for your clients. So make your life easy. And even if possible, if you're not good with maps, it might be better to drive around the property, because sometimes the pictures shown on MLS is not really the way it is shown. It is maybe they take with some special cameras, it looks good, but you want to see around the property. And also you will find your way easier. You don't want to make U-turns. If you're not good with directions, even with GPS, sometimes you take GPS and it takes you so far away. I mean, sometimes even the roads are blocked, right? The GPS says go and then the road is blocked. So if you go ahead of time, look at those properties, you will be in a much better position. Otherwise, just imagine if the clients are sitting in your car or if they're following, if you constantly make U-turns and you're lost, do you think they will feel confident buying from you? And those small things matter. We think it doesn't matter, but it matters a lot. I think, well, it depends. For example, some ladies, they don't feel comfortable taking clients in their car, but it's up to your personality. I prefer to take them in my car because we can talk about things, we can connect. It gives me an opportunity to nurture the relationship that I have. It depends on your personality. I would suggest to take them in your car. That's why you should go ahead of time, so that you can just comfortably drive to the houses that you're showing. The two topics, no matter how close you get to them, should not come up, is politics and religion. Because even if you're of the same religion, there is always disagreement even about the same religion. Or if you're part of the same type of politics or party, don't bring up those two topics in the conversation. Anything else should be okay. So yes, you might think that condominiums are easy to show. Those of you that have shown condominiums, it is even more tougher, because some condominiums, they don't allow, actually most of them, they don't allow the lock boxes to be attached on the, at the back of the door. Usually they are in the stairwell, or they are in somewhere in the main floor, or they're somewhere else, right? So you want to go ahead of time and find the keys so that you can open. I know I have a lot of stories, but there is no time. But quickly, this is a story that one of my first clients, I was showing them at Islington and Finch, and I thought the key must be somewhere close to the door. I couldn't find it. I had to let them stand in the corridor and me going searching for the key. You know how embarrassing is that situation? I cannot tell you, because I have been through it, and I tell you it is very embarrassing. And by the time you find it, you're all red, you're all sweating, you're not in a good shape, and very easily they will ditch you. They don't want to work with you. You have lost confidence, right? So you don't want to be in that situation. You know, these guys are paying you $10,000 commission. So it is worth that effort. And these type of clients, they don't come every day. So spend the time. Who cares about the $20 gas that you will spend to see these houses? Just go, spend the money, spend the time. It is, as I said, this business is about quality. The quality of service you provide, not the quantity, or you want to serve more people, because you will lose them all if you don't serve properly. So yes, this lists some of the challenges that condominium showings can have. And you know, as I said, this was my picture 12 years ago, standing in the corridors of a balcony and thinking, what should I do? I cannot find the key. So I had to find the management. And this was a big family. By the way, this family, actually, there was a couple getting married, and this was their first property in a condominium, and they came with their in-laws. So they were all like, you know, trying to see around the houses, and I have just messed it up. So embarrassing situation, and you don't want to be in that situation. But by the way, I think if you really want to be professional, you want to note these clients' reactions to houses into your green rope database that Mahmoud showed you, which means you take a note that you say, you know what, they don't like following things in a house, because you don't want to show same houses again. I will tell you that when a buyer goes, they will gossip about you. One of the most common gossip about agent is that we told them that we don't want a combined living dining room, but why is it showing again? Do you know what I'm saying? So if you don't take note, and if you do not eliminate some of the things they don't like, you will lose respect. I'm trying to repeat, there is a lot of people that ditch, a lot of buyers that ditch agents, and these are the reasons that they ditch them. You want to pay attention to details. Again, it is about quality of service, okay? How much in depth you want to go with them. So it should not be about commission. It should be about protecting their interest. If you are just trying to sell them a house to get your commission, they will feel it, they will know about it, and they will not give you referral. As I said, first of all, they will not buy that property with you. Even if they do, they will not refer you because they think you're just for the commission. You're not there having a genuine culture of caring for them, and you don't want to be there. So it is, as we are trying to constantly say, it is not about the knowledge that you have access to these properties. It is about the feeling that they have about you. So you have to be honest about it. You know, sometimes there are properties that you don't want to buy for clients. And if they want to buy, you should tell them very confidently that this is, for example, buying a 2-bedroom house, it's very hard to sell. There are some 2-bedroom houses, these are bungalows. It is very hard to sell a 2-bedroom house. So when a client says, yes, I like the kitchen, yes, I like that, you should very confidently tell them, and assertively, the issue of assertiveness, you should very assertively tell them that if you want to buy, it is your choice.